Hello everyone, welcome back to another one of my movie reviews. This is actually going to be the first time we're going to be using the new title of the series. It'll be called Maz Does Movies. Basically, I've been reviewing movies for a while, and now we're going to go ahead and adopt that title for this series called Maz Does Movies. Typically, we'll do ratings with honeypots to see sort of like how they rank, because everybody knows my logos on Twitch have been bear related, as that's sort of been like the adopted nickname for my stream. So basically, we'll be doing ratings in honeypots, sort of like best of five. How many honeypots would I give it? How good a movie was based on that. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I just got out of the Star Wars The Last Jedi. I've seen it twice now since it's been out. I have a little bit I'd like to talk about in this review. Just to let you know, this will be a spoiler-free review, so if you're thinking about seeing it and haven't seen it yet and you want something, don't worry. I will be giving away no critical information to the plot, no spoilers at all. So let's go ahead and discuss the first and most important thing is Rian Johnson of of The Last Jedi is the new director for this film. He was just granted a green light on a new three movie trilogy, new trilogy, to go on after this series ends. And at first, I was nervous. I thought it was a very, very bold play to go ahead and give someone who hasn't yet proved themselves to have success in the Star Wars realm that kind of a green light, a go ahead. I was very nervous at first, but after seeing this film, I can safely say that I have a lot of faith in Rian Johnson. This film was beautiful. From start to finish, this film was absolutely glorious in all of the space battles, all of the lightsaber fights, the choreography. Everything in this movie felt unique, new. It was such a different direction than any Star Wars film we had seen so far. I was very impressed with that. So basically, looking at what he was able to do with the film and what he was able to take what we love about Star Wars, he was able to add a lot of new things to it and give us a new look to what Star Wars could be in his future adaptation of it. That being said, I want to address the main concern that I'm hearing from a lot of people, and that would be issues with the plot. The plot of this movie is very, very baseline. Basically, I'm trying to say this without spoiling anything. There's a centralized plot. Now, this plot is consistent through the entire film, and for you to really understand how critical this main plot is, you have to think about everything that happened before this film, because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this film does not really, it's boring, it's lame, it's not deep." And the whole point is that the deeper part of the plot is when you look at the whole picture. Right now, this plot, everybody's looking at it just as a singular movie instead of understanding where we came from. At the end of The Force Awakens, we saw the First Order take out all the governmental systems of the galaxy. Right now, we have just been put into a full factory reset to where things were probably at the beginning of A New Hope. Every bit of control we had over the galaxy, like for the Republic, is gone. The First Order is now the old Empire. They have full control over everything. So we're trying to basically understand what type of peril we're in. This is the last bit of hope for the entire galaxy. The last chance of establishing a governmental republic again lies with Leia Organa and the rest of the rebellion, because without them, it's over. There's literally no one left to restore it, and the First Order wins. So, there's a lot of people that take issue with the fact that this borderline plot through the whole thing is just boring, and they felt that it was a little bit silly that certain things didn't happen to alter the plot. But I can't really go into detail as to why those are not valid reasons to judge this whole movie, but I'll be discussing that in my spoiler video after this. But I do think that if you look at the entirety of the first movie combined with this one, you can really, if you really give it like some time and let it soak in, you'll be like, I guess that kind of does make sense. This is kind of a big deal. This is the middle. This is the meat and the bones of what will make the final movie. So this was an essential part of it. And now that we've experienced the second movie, it's going to lead into what I think will be probably one of, I think that the third movie can be the greatest Star Wars movie we've ever seen. Because I came out of this movie, and after some thinking, I think that this might be one of the greatest movies we've seen from Star Wars in a very long time. There were some issues I did have with this film, but nothing like that detrimentally ruined it for me. There was one segue in the film that it just seemed a bit. It seemed Hollywood. It seemed like they were going out there and they were trying to put all their bread in one basket, saying, "Oh, this is an issue we have nowadays. We should try to harp on that theme." And that theme, while I think it is a very important theme, it's not really needed in the Star Wars universe because there's already enough peril with the main plight of the battle between the First Order and the Republic. So I felt that it takes away from what the original conflict was, but overall I wouldn't say it harms the film, other than just makes it about 30 minutes longer than it needs to be. If I were personally them, I felt that this seemed like more of a way to try to get their money's worth out of the actors who were involved in that segue, but for the most part, it didn't seem that was necessary. But I would not say that it ruins the film in any way. As for other things that happen in this film, I must say, without spoiling anything, this is a new and different look at what Star Wars is. Now, we have seen the same things over and over and regurgitated over and over in Star Wars over the years. But this is actually the first Star Wars film that really goes in a new direction and tries new things. We see new force powers, new abilities, new understanding, new things brought in from the mythos. And I thought it was beautiful. It was really well done. They did things that we've read about before but we've never seen on screen. So, and there's even like callbacks to things that happen in the film that were kind of funny because I've talked about it with my friends before whenever we've discussed like fanfic movies and stuff. But yeah, I would say that there's definitely a lot of things that people were just like, come on, really? And it's like, yeah, really? Yeah, these are new things, a part of the movie that are kind of funny that they've never been talked about or done before. But they did a very good job of it, I thought. Going on to the actual acting of this movie, I thought it was pretty amazing. I will say one thing, that two actors that stuck out like as amazingly well done. Adam Driver. I was very skeptical of him as a villain figure in the first movie. I felt that he just seemed kind of whiny and it just bothered me. He felt a lot like Anakin in the Clone Wars to me. I couldn't get behind it in The Force Awakens, which is the main reason why The Force Awakens didn't really stick out as a good. It's an abomination of a movie for Star Wars, but I got this terrible feeling that Adam Driver as Kylo Ren was going to be the same thing, and after this movie, that's gone. I really stand behind Adam Driver now as Kylo Ren. There's so much to this character, and I can feel it. I'm 100% behind Kylo Ren now. Another character who stuck out to me that I personally really enjoyed is General Hux for the First Order. He's this slimy, snaky human being who's running. He's like commander of the First Order, and he didn't really stick out to me in the first film, but in this one he has a lot more screen time. You can see his plans, you can see the stuff that he has out in front of him, and he is just a vile commander. And I gotta say, I haven't felt this way about a non-Sith in a long time. Because this guy he is just vile and disgusting. And he reminds me of Moff Tarkin, just in a way that he has something about him that just makes you just cringe when you see him on screen in the best way. So I definitely feel that we're going to have a lot more to see from General Hux in the next film, because I definitely felt they left him to have a more a more powerful role in this film with him having a lot more lines. But as for the actual feel of this movie, every type of emotion that you could have in this one was really, really, really just magnified. It was huge. The peril was, it just felt genuine. There were times in this movie where you were just like, oh my gosh. I remember there was a point in the movie where I was legitimately sitting there almost hyperventilating because I did not know what was going to happen. I was like, oh my gosh, are they going to do this? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do this? Are they really going to do this? And then there were moments where I was just, yeah. And then there were moments of just joy and humor and nostalgia. And it wasn't overly done. I will say that the humor, it did feel a bit like, kind of like Marvel-esque humor, where they really, really, really tried to overdo the humor. But at the same time, I feel that the humor is necessary. When you look it back at the first trilogy, while the humor may have not been the level that it was in the first trilogy, there was a lot of underlying humor in the first trilogy. Han Solo and Chewie through the entire movie were just badgering back and forth, making funny moments through all of the films and serious moments. And I felt that while this film may have had a lot of more obvious humor moments with porgs and other characters and unique facets of the universe coming in to play, I felt that it was good because this was a very, very dark film. There was a lot of negative emotion and very scary undertones that brought out a lot of worry in this film. So I thought that the humor was very necessary because otherwise this would have been the darkest, and I don't know if it would have came back at the end, because the end brings you back, but there's a point in the middle of this movie where you're just like, wow, what are they going to do? This is dark. And I definitely feel that it makes you feel what it's intended. They did a very good job of conveying emotion in this film. So that's the main point I would go ahead and say about this film, everything I want to talk about. I did see it in IMAX both times. I'm probably going to see it in 3D next just to try to save some money and just really pay attention to plot and other stuff. But I will personally say, when it comes to rating, I would definitely put this film up there as probably one of the greatest Star Wars films ever to be released, and that's coming in with an open mind. If you have an open mind going into this film and understanding that Star Wars cannot be the same contained universe that we know, and know that it has to get bigger so we don't see the same thing regurgitated over and over and over again, this is one of the greatest films ever made. There's not one fan theory, one person that could have predicted the way this film went. I read tons of ideas, tons of people just wanting to know questions and wanting to have answers. No one saw this coming. No one. There is not one person. If someone can find this plot and show me a date where it was posted before the movie released or the plot leaked, I would love to see it. I personally don't know anyone who predicted this plot to come out the way it did with as many twists and turns as it took. I honestly was left at a moment where I was just blown. I could not understand how this is the story that we got. It was just mind-blowing. So, but I definitely would rate this one as probably the second, very close to, I would say it's under Empire. 100% under Empire. Empire is still the greatest Star Wars film I've ever seen. Just everything about that movie was just perfect. The flow, the dark, everything about that movie, even the cliffhanger at the end, just with him finding out it's his father in Darth Vader. I really feel that movie it's just going to be really hard to usurp it as the greatest Star Wars film. But looking at this film, I'd say it's still pretty amazing. It's not as good as Empire, but I would still say it's just ahead of New Hope. I really, really have high hopes for the next one, and I really can't wait for it. It's probably going to be 2 years before we get it, but I can't wait. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one as a 5 honeypots, must-see, amazing film. For my first rating system, it sucks to give it the best possible rating, but with the exception of that one section of storyline that didn't really need to be in it, it's perfect. It's just an amazing, fun ride, and I would recommend anyone to go see it. So Star Wars Last Jedi, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll see you guys later, and make sure you leave a comment, rating, and let me know how you liked it.